Azure.
Yes.
Okay, great. Though we still do not have a good quorum today, only 8 or 9 people have joined,
Yes.
but still we will start. We won't wait anymore. We have waited for 5 minutes, right? So let's quickly start. Uh, Last session we discussed all the theoretical aspects of a migration, right? So anyone has any question on that before we proceed? Anyone who didn't understand anything, any logic that why this should happen, why this should not happen, how does it work on that topic? So is it clear to everyone that what is an assessment? I'm not talking about the tool assessment. We haven't done that yet. Today we might do that or maybe tomorrow. But what do you mean by the actual assessment which your architect team will do? So is that process clear enough for you guys? Did you understand that how it works? What all happens in background before it comes to your migration? Yes, guys. Yes, no, maybe. Is this process clear to everyone?
Yes.
Landing zone setup, must ask question. Whenever there is a migration topic, a landing zone setup question will be there. So is it clear to you that what is the landing zone setup? Can one of you explain what is the landing zone setup, guys? I mean, if even if you read it looking at this, that is also fine. But I want one of you to explain what is a landing zone setup, what all comes under landing zone, what cannot be a part of landing zone. Yes, Rishikesh, Amit, Nelson, Suraj, anyone?
So, as per my understanding, I mean, while we are creating the Azure account, we need to consider few things. So, that is subscription, then the uh, resource groups, VNets, then firewall, and there are few other policies as well which we need to do uh, while doing the migration.
Somehow right, but yes. Mm, it is not at the time of opening the account with Azure, right? We're talking about the migration here. So at the time of migration, whatever things you can do before moving your machines from on-prem or other cloud, wherever you're moving it from. In this example, we'll stick to on-prem. So whatever things which you can do before moving the machines. An Azure account, maybe your client already has an Azure account. A subscription, maybe he already has a subscription. Maybe already a resource group is there. Last time he moved 50 machine to that resource group, and in this sprint he wants to move more 25 machines. So resource group is already there. Let's say VNet is already there, subnet is already there. But still, whatever you can do, maybe in this one there is a load balancer in diagram. So can we configure the load balancer before moving?
Post that we can do it.
Before moving my machines, can I deploy the load balancer? Yes, Amit, Suraj.
Yes, we can.
So Nelson, post that, of course we can do that. But the point here is, why are we calling it a landing zone setup? Because before moving it, we have to do it. So this is something which can be done.
Understood.
Load balancer, it requires only one thing, which is mandatory at the time of creation, which is the front end IP, which we can anyhow apply. There's no dependency for the front end IP. Front end IP वैसे ही पहले discuss हो चुका होगा. What IP are we using, right? Because we are not using the same IP. We are not bringing the IP from on-prem to here. We are using a new IP. और उसके अलावा जो बैकएंड में मशीन लगने वाली है, that we can do later also while deploying the load balancer. If you guys remember, You can deploy the load balancer without adding the backend machine. So you can do both the things, that you move your virtual machine first and then you start deploying your load balancer, test your load balancer, and then while creating it, add those machines to the backend. Yeah, training may it looks very simple, but when it goes to a production environment, even a load balancer takes 2 to 3 days, maybe a week. All things needs to be considered, approvals, change, subnet, what network will it be using, region, cost center, n number of things are there. So now let's say that you have already moved your machine to Azure and now you're taking 1 week, which is not at all feasible or sensible decision, right? So it's always good that whatever resources you guys can create before moving the actual loads and machines are same thing. Okay, whenever they call it workload, whenever they call it machines, box, these all are same thing. That means your servers. So before you do that, whatever resources you can create, do create them. And at the end, just move the machine and attach to those resources. So you will have the minimum downtime. That is the concept of landing zone setup. If in this case, I said already a resource group and VNet is there, but maybe there are some cases जहाँ पे resource group भी नहीं होगा. So you'll have to create a resource group also. You can create it while moving those machines, but doesn't make any sense. You'll have to create it first. Why to waste your time? VNet का किसी के साथ अगर peering करना है वो. So whatever things which are required, right, which is needed and which can be done before moving the actual loads. So you have to do that before moving your machine, and that is what your landing zone setup is. What all can come under that? Anything can be there, anything, even an Azure account. Let's say that I am moving my machine for the first time. I have hired you guys as a consultant. You guys have checked, okay, you have 10 machines and this is the plan, right? So maybe there's no Azure account. So from the Azure account, though you guys won't be purchasing an Azure account for your client, most of the time it will be done by your architect team and financial team, which will be there, even if they are doing it on behalf of client, right? So Azure account, subscription, ये सब नहीं करते हो आप. But that could be the case. In your project, that could be the case, that everything we are doing for this client, before moving the machine, we are setting up the landing zone setup. In landing zone setup, our architecture team has set up an account for them. They have purchased a subscription for them. अब वो किस तरह का सब्सक्रिप्शन लेना था, CSP था, enterprise agreement था, pay as you go था, that your architect team will take care of that. You don't have to worry about it. After that, maybe Azure Active Directory, that can come to you. Accesses, it will definitely come to you. It's not only moving the machines. Machine move करने से पहले ऑन प्रीम पे जिन जिन यूजर्स को वहां पर एक्सेस था, लेट्स से दैट देयर इज एन एप्लीकेशन और उससे रिलेटेड 100 यूजर्स को एक्सेस था, कोई टेस्टिंग के लिए, किसी को एडमिन वर्क के लिए, किसी को डेवलपमेंट के लिए, किसी को एज एन एंड यूजर, कोई मैनेजर, कोई क्वालिटी ऑडिटर. For some n number of reason, maybe 10 team and 100 users had access to that application, to that machine. So before you move that machine, do you think it's a good decision to move that machine, then create 100 users, then create their security groups and then give access? Or is it a good move to create those users, create the security group, everything already, give access on the resource group and then move that machine to the resource group? Which one do you think saves time more time? First option or second?
The second option is
Obviously
feasible.
it's second one, right? It's a rhetorical question, but just I want you to understand that, right? So anything and everything which can be done before moving the machines, we will do that, and that is called landing zone. Exact ऐसा कोई definition, or if you call it in Hindi, कोई परिभाषित definition नहीं है, इसका कोई परिभाषा नहीं है कि landing zone setup ये 4 words में ही बनता है. Anything and everything what you can do before moving the loads, that is your landing zone setup. हर केस में अलग हो सकता है, but majority केस में क्या होता है, यही होता है. Azure Active Directory most of the time होता है. If it is not there, you create it. और अगर Azure Active Directory होता भी है तो users बनाना तो definitely होता है. Every application will have their different users, different testers, तो उनके users बनाना, उनको accesses देना, resource group बनाना, virtual network बनाना. If it is not there, if you're not adding it to the existing one, उस पर subnet बनाना, NSG, VPN, firewall, policies बनाना, tagging का policy वगैरह, right? load balancer I just explained. So this is your landing zone setup. If you explain this properly in your interview, आपका एक काफी better impression होता है that you actually know what the landing zone setup is. Right? So just don't read it, explain it. So it will give you the it will give the impression like you have worked on that, right? And you can come up with any scenario. जो भी अभी आप जितना करोगे उसमें से आपको कुछ लगता है this could have been done, ये हमने बाद में किया, this could have been done early, you add that. It's okay, it's completely fine. It should be technically correct. Okay, that's it. So that is your landing zone setup. Then migration we discussed. Migration का practical हम obviously देखने वाले हैं. As a landing zone setup, there are few mandatory things. I mean ये सब जो है ना access और vnet, it's इनमें से कुछ चीजें हैं जो mandatory है. NSG you create, you don't create, up to you. Later on also you can create, downtime आपका ज्यादा जाएगा. Firewall आपको बनानी है बनाइए, नहीं बनानी है मत बनाइए. Later on आपका time ज्यादा जाएगा, downtime आपका ज्यादा होगा, application owner से issues आप लोगों के पास ज्यादा होंगे, right? These are not mandatory things, but few of them are mandatory thing. One of them is subscription. Obviously there has to be one subscription. अगर सब्सक्रिप्शन होगा नहीं तो हम अपना प्रोजेक्ट ही शुरू नहीं कर पाएंगे. Now when we go to the practical, you will understand that a subscription is must to create your project. Okay, resource group, it has to be there. A resource group is must, it has to be there. Then you required a storage account. This is most I mean sometimes they do ask this question that what are the mandatory things for landing zone setup. Load balancer, it's up to me. I want to create it, I don't want to create it, it's up to me. Okay, but what about this one? What are the mandatory things? So these steps are mandatory, or these things. Can you have a look at this one? This red asterisk mark, this shows these are the mandatory fields. So before you do any migration, these are the mandatory fields. Resource group you have to create. Replication storage account. This is the exactly same concept which we did in our where did we talk about the temporary storage account? Can you guys remember it? Recall it? Recently I did it. And read this property, maybe it will help you to remember. Can someone confirm where did we do that?
In disaster recovery, cache storage.
Perfect. Yes, it's exactly same. And I hope you guys remember I told you that migrate is just a UI, Azure Migrate tool, which we are going to look at now. That is just a UI, a user interface. Backend में क्या technology चल रही है migration के लिए भी? Yes, which technology is
Yes,
being
sir.
used?
ASR?
Yes, sir. So and DR and ASR, are those two different things?
No, same.
No, right? So that is the reason we have same concept. Like in ASR or DR, we required a cache storage account, and on that account soft delete should not be enabled. So soft delete should be disabled. Similar requirement we have here. So we required a replication storage account. Soft delete should not be enabled on that. Then we definitely required a virtual network, and if there's a virtual network, we require a subnet. Okay, and here you can select whether you want any availability option or no. So these are the mandatory things of a landing zone setup. So make sure you remember this, take a printout of this, keep this in front of you at the time of interview, however you want, but you have to answer this if it is being asked, because if you guys start doing migration, ये दिमाग में fit हो जाता है. So if someone who has really worked, and if you're portraying that you have worked on 15 migrations, you have worked on 12 migration, and if you cannot answer this, it becomes very easy for your interviewer to quickly make it out that you are lying. Right? So make sure that you mug it up properly. Then post migration. Let's say migration has been done successfully. There are many steps in migration. We are going to see them. But what happens next? As an implementation team, you have done the migration. After that, what? On the immediate day, are you going to give your server to your server owner or support team? No. There's a hypercare period. What is a hypercare period? Normally it is 14 days, but it could be different company to company. Maybe 1 week, somewhere it could be 3 weeks, 1 month, but normally it is 2 weeks. In hypercare period, you take care of those machines, you monitor them. Why do you monitor them? You monitor them for cost. Your architecture team has promised that this would be the monthly billing or this would be the weekly billing for this machine. So based on that, you will monitor. इसका बिल कितना हो रहा है, एस्टिमेटेड से ज्यादा हो रहा है क्या, इफ यस देन व्हाई, डिड वी डू अ रॉन्ग साइज, कोई रॉन्ग साइज हम लोगों ने चूज कर लिया, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, दैट इज वन एस्पेक्ट. कॉस्ट इज द एस्पेक्ट फॉर विच यू मॉनिटर. नॉर्मली अगेन मॉनिटरिंग चीज जो है ना आर्किटेक्ट टीम से होता है, जो भी आपका see how it happens that you get a diagram from your architect team and you start deploying, but you're not always alone over there. Okay, always there are one or two architect. If it's small project, एक single architect होगा for supervision, that whatever we have designed, and supervision and help if you get stuck somewhere, so that person can help you. So normally hypercare period वाला जो काम है उनसे होता है, but you should know that what is it, right? If you're claiming कि आप लोग 5-6 साल से काम करो, तो normally आप लोगों को इतना काम मिल ही जाता है. Okay, if you really get migration वाला work, then so monitor, what do we monitor, cost के लिए ये monitor करते हो आप लोग. Then security, what could be the monitoring you can do in security, that कोई unnecessary port तो हमने नहीं खोल रखा है. Now at the time of migration, it is one of the requirements to open many ports. हर application की अलग अलग dependency हो, कोई application बोलेगा यार मुझको 5000 पोर्ट चाहिए, कोई बोलेगा मुझको 4899 पोर्ट चाहिए, वॉट एवर इट इज, वो एक लिस्ट आपके पास आ जाती है, राइट? यू विल नो इट एट द टाइम ऑफ असेसमेंट, यू विल नो इट, और वो सारे पोर्ट्स ओपन होते हैं. बट पोस्ट माइग्रेशन, डू वी स्टिल रिक्वायर दोस पोर्ट्स टू बी केप्ट ओपन? नो, वी हैव टू क्लोज देम. सो दिस इज द monitoring you do from the security aspect in your हाइपर केयर पीरियड, जो 2 महीने का टाइम है. एंड व्हेन आई से यू डू, लिटरली आप जाकर एक एक मशीन पे लॉगिन वगैरह करके कुछ नहीं देखते हो, राइट? ये सब कुछ ये होता है, ऑटोमेटेड होता है, अलर्ट्स वगैरह आते हैं आपको. व्हेन आई से यू डू, आप बस ध्यान रखते हो कि कोई अलर्ट आ गया तो यू गो टू दैट मशीन एंड चेक. परफॉर्मेंस, परफॉर्मेंस में एक मशीन आपका जो था यहाँ पर ऑन प्रीम पे, जिसपे 8 GB रैम था और 500 GB का हार्ड डिस्क था. I did the assessment for that machine for 2 weeks, and I realized, I isn't the tool realized कि ये आधा ही यूज हो रहा है. Okay, so I suggested, why don't you go for a 4 GB and 250 GB hard disk as an Azure tool. That Azure tool suggested me that, and I went ahead with that option. But later on, जब मशीन मूव हो गई, now I realized कि जो 2 हफ्ते हम लोगों ने इसको ये किया था ना, what do you say, इसको असेस किया था, वो एक्चुअल में गलत वीक्स थे. वहां पे वैसे भी ट्रैफिक होता ही नहीं है. इट कुड बी एनी साइट, इट कुड बी सम शॉपिंग साइट जहां पर एक सर्टेन टाइम पे काफी फ्री होता है, बाकी किसी सर्टेन टाइम पे काफी जो है ट्रैफिक उसमें ज्यादा होता है, किसी सर्टेन मंथ में कोई ट्रैफिक बहुत कम होता है, किसी मंथ में बहुत ज्यादा होता है, सीजनल बेस हो सकता है, इट कुड बी एनीथिंग, राइट? सो फॉर दैट रीजन यू डू अ मॉनिटरिंग एंड परफॉर्मेंस. Okay, whatever you have selected, is it working as an expected, whatever you expected, is it working like that or not, is it performing like that or not? So based on that 2 weeks performance, 2 weeks report, I assigned 4 GB RAM to this server. और later on जब peak hour आ गया इस server का, then I realized कि यार ये तो 6 GB तक का इसका requirement है, and because of that server is crashing. So before I hand it over to client, I will, what will I do, I will resize the machine. ठीक है, परफॉर्मेंस एंड देन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन, इट्स ऑलमोस्ट सेम थिंग. परफॉर्मेंस एंड ऑप्टिमाइजेशन के इसका कोई बिगर साइज चाहिए, कोई इशू है, एंड वाइस एंड वर्सा. मे बी मैंने इसको कभी ऐसे स्कैन किया था कि मुझको बता रहा था दैट एक्सट्रीम यूजेज है इसका, एक्सट्रीम यूजेज, बट लेटर ऑन आई कम टू नो कि दैट वाज ओनली फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर वीक. दैट्स नॉट अ ट्रेंड. अगर ट्रेंड भी होता तो ठीक है, विल गो अहेड विद द बिग साइज बिकॉज़ ये फिर से आएगा. बट आफ्टर टॉकिंग टू एप्लीकेशन ओनर, आफ्टर लुकिंग एट द रिपोर्ट ऑफ 5 years, ये सब देख के मुझको पता था कि वो सिर्फ उस एक पर्टिकुलर वीक पे कोई ट्रेंड था. मे बी I'm selling something. Let's say that I have a uh, let's say that I have a website of a training. Okay, UT-Kloud. Okay, normally I see 100 users are coming on daily basis. You guys scan my computer, you see 100 users are coming, it's fine. Someday maybe one video went viral. On that particular week, many people wanted to watch that video, so only for that week, and unfortunately you guys were scanning on that particular week. लेकिन बस एक ही वीडियो जो वायरल चला गया था ऑन सम टॉपिक, सो आई हैड मेनी यूजर्स, और उसके बाद फिर से वो नॉर्मल, बैक टू नॉर्मल हो गया. एंड लेटर ऑन आई रियलाइज कि वो सिर्फ एक वीक का था. बट बेस्ड ऑन दैट वीक, यू गाइस सजेस्टेड मी, as your tool suggested me, and when I say you, this is architect team, those guys suggested me that you go ahead with the big machine. I went with the big machine. But now when it comes to Azure, I realize I have a machine of 16 GB, but hardly 4 GB is being used. Why am I paying extra? So before your customer comes to you, you have to take care all of these things. And when do you do that? You do that in your hypercare period, which happens after post migration. So is it clear to everyone? What is your hypercare period? Can you explain it to your interviewer? And they are not going to ask you. Rarely someone will ask you a question of hypercare period. But when you explain migration, you definitely have to talk about hypercare period. Without hypercare period, your migration is incomplete. So is it clear, guys, to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, now let's talk a few more theoretical topics, and then we'll go ahead to the practical thing. Okay, now when it comes to migration, what is the migration, actual migration? One of the most frequently asked question is 6 hours of migration. R is in Romeo. Okay, 6 hours of migration. It's different for AWS, it's different for Azure, but both of them have 6 hours. और आप कहीं का भी कहीं पर भी चिपका दो, trust me, I have never seen a single rejection. किसी Azure के इंटरव्यू में किसी ने AWS के बोल दिए, AWS के इंटरव्यू में Azure के बोल दिए. It doesn't matter at all. They just want to know if your concept is clear, right? Because कहीं पर ये रीपर्चेसिंग का नाम कुछ और होता है, रीफैक्टरिंग का नाम कुछ और होता है. So it happens. You don't have to worry about it. Just don't make up your own words. पर AWS Azure it's completely fine. Azure का आपको मिल जाएगा. AWS का काफी चलन में है. एक्चुअल में 6 hours का कॉन्सेप्ट AWS से था, तो people follow this. Hence I have written AWS, and just to make sure that this is not Azure, I have mentioned AWS, and you can stick to this. Even if you're going for an Azure interview, you can stick to this. 6 hours of migration. Is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's discuss them in detail. What are the 6 hours? I think this is for Azure. Let me see. Now these are AWS. Azure, you will get it. If not, I'll share it with you. But doesn't matter, and don't even get confused. Don't even try to find differences between them. वो सब बिल्कुल मत करो आप. Stick to this. Again, take a printout. ये इसको खुला रख लो. आप इंटरव्यू में इसको पढ़ लो, and that's it. You're done. Actual में आपके कभी काम नहीं आने वाला है. कभी भी काम नहीं आएगा. Let me explain it to you, and you will understand कि आपके क्यों काम नहीं आ रहा है. आर्किटेक्ट टीम के काम आता है, आपके डेफिनेटली कभी काम नहीं आएगा, बट इंटरव्यू में डेफिनेटली पूछा जाएगा. सो डू नॉट इवन वेस्ट अ सिंगल मिनट के यार मैं जाके एक बार अज्योर का भी देख लूं. इफ यू हैव दैट क्यूरियोसिटी, आई एम नॉट स्टॉपिंग यू, बट दैट इज वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम एज ऑफ नाउ. लेटर ऑन यू लर्न इट फॉर योर knowledge, it's well and good, but as of now, if you're focusing on interview, do not waste your time over there. Let's stick to this, and you don't even have to mention ki, yeah, I'm talking about AWS, I'm talking nothing. The moment he says, are you aware of 6 hours? Yes, I am. What are those? Start. So what are those 6 hours? Let's say one of them is rehosting. Now, whatever we have been discussing till now, that we'll do the ASR, will copy the machine from there to here. ASR में क्या होता है? Replicate होता है, right? It is replicating the machine. मेरे ऑन प्रीमाइसेस पे एक फिजिकल मशीन है, उसको पूरा का पूरा रेप्लिकेट मैंने कर लिया. कहाँ पर? क्लाउड पे कर लिया. दैट इज द रेप्लिकेशन ऑफ मशीन. रेप्लिकेशन मैंने रखा है बैकअप वगैरह के लिए, बट देन आई थॉट कि चलो आई जस्ट सिंपली शट डाउन. इसका मैंने शट डाउन कर देता हूँ ऑन प्रीम का, और क्लाउड से ही शुरू करता हूँ. व्हाट डिड यू डू? यू रीहोस्टेड योर मशीन. आपका एज इट इज मशीन आपने वहां से उठा के, आपके अपने पर्सनल हार्डवेयर से उठा के अज्योर के हार्डवेयर पे रख दिया. दैट इज योर रीहोस्टिंग. If you just want to move your machines as it is to the OP2 OPS on-prem, from on-prem premises to cloud, it is simple lift and shift. So it's also known as lift and shift, and it is also known as rehosting. Simple भाषा एकदम. लिफ्ट एंड शिफ्ट मतलब बस यहाँ से उठा दिया वहां पर रख दिया. That's it. हार्डवेयर चेंज हुआ उसका. That's it. Nothing. उस मशीन में कोई सर्विस चल रही थी, it will be there as it is. कोई वेबसाइट था, it will be there as it is. Everything will be there. उसमें कोई डेटाबेस था, it will be there as it is. Nothing will be changed over there. वो सर्वर 2012 था, 12 ही मिलेगा यहाँ पर भी आपको. Whatever was there, exact same thing you are going to get, except the physical machine. So the सर्वर के साइज का जो चेंज होता है ना, that is because your physical machine is being changed. आपके physical box में शायद 7 GB का कोई रैम लगा हुआ था. ओके, पुराने मशीन्स में पॉसिबल था, एंड नाउ आल्सो यू कैन डू इट इफ यू गेट दैट और टाइप का रैम. बट अज्योर में कोई 7 GB वाला कोई ये नहीं है. सो इधर यू विल गेट 6 GB और मे बी 8 GB. उतना चेंज होगा, बट दैट इज नॉट नथिंग टू डू विथ योर ओएस. दैट इज योर होस्ट. आपका जो हार्डवेयर है वो चेंज हो रहा है. इज इट क्लियर गाइस? रीहोस्टिंग, व्हाट इज लिफ्ट एंड शिफ्ट?
But can you explain that once again if you don't mind?
Which part did you not understand?
I mean the rehosting part. Actually, I was cut in between.
Sorry,
That's why. My
Nelson,
internet
your voice is
was
breaking.
unstable.
Nelson, your voice is breaking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, actually, my internet was unstable. That's why I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Okay. So we'll skip to this to the last one. What about others, guys? Did you understand that? Others, did you understand lift and shift to rehosting? Any doubt? Hafsa, Ramit, Asif, Faisal bhai, Rishikesh, Satar bhai, any doubt? Anyone has slightest doubt? Let me know. I'll explain it again. If not, then I'll keep it for the last because Nelson's internet is still not working, maybe because I can't hear him properly. So I don't want to repeat it if you guys have already understood that. Okay. So Nelson, maybe we can connect after this, or you can watch the recording, or once your network is stable,
Sure.
let me know. Okay, I'll explain it
Okay.
at the end. But do remind me if you have not understood. Do remind me.
Sure.
We'll definitely do that. Okay. So this is rehosting, guys. Okay, it's very basic. A simple thing. From your on-prem, your machines are being moved to cloud. That's all your rehosting is, and that is your migration. Lift and shift is your migration, or that is also known as rehosting. 6 hours जब पूछता तब आप lift and shift मत बोलो. It should start with R then. Okay. इसमें आप किसी तरह का कोई भी चेंज नहीं कर रहे हो. Not a slightest change. Okay. As it is machine को आप उठा के ये कर रहे हो. This is the one which we use mostly. Environment में भी, live production में भी यही ज्यादा use होता है. Questions भी ज्यादा इसी पे आते हैं. This is the one which we are going to practice. Practical भी हम इसी का करने वाले हैं. Next one is replatform. Now what is a replatform? It's exactly like lift and shift, however just with a little twist and tweak. छोटे मोटे से चेंजेस हो सकते हैं, बहुत ही स्लाइट चेंजेस. इसमें OS लेवल का चेंज भी हो सकता है. मे बी लेट्स से दैट माय current operating system, it is in 2K8 2008, and I'm planning to move to cloud. Your architect says fine, we can do that, but you know what, when you go to Azure is stopping 2008 support in October 2023. It's hardly 3 months now. Why do you want to go there and have a machine which will not be supported by Azure? So why don't we do the upgrade, in place upgrade? I mean, आपके 2008 को वहीं पर keep all the applications as it is, just make it 2012 and then move it. That is, or move it to cloud first and then upgrade it, however you like it, but make it to 2012. इसको अगर सिंपल इसमें बताऊं आपको, तो आपका एंड्रॉइड फोन का जो एक वर्जन चेंज होता है ना, वर्जन 13, एंड्रॉइड 12 चल रहा है नाउ, लेटेस्ट इज 13. सो 12 से आपने 13 कर दिया, दैट्स इट. जो अपडेट्स आते हैं बेसिक छोटा सा अपडेट. You did not touch the functionality, did not change anything, nothing. एक छोटा सा किसी भी तरह का अपडेट करना था आपको, you did it and that's all. That is your twist and basic tweak. So maybe कोई port open करना है, or maybe one of your machine has some firewall, a local firewall installed in that. I'm not talking about the network firewall. एक local कोई firewall है उसके ऊपर. Because of that it is not working. So can we uninstall that firewall for a moment? जब तक हम इसको Azure पे लेकर आते, can we uninstall that? बहुत minor change. So that is your replatforming. Understood?
Yes.
Then repurchase. Repurchase is something it's never going to come to you. Okay. इसमें बहुत सारा ये होता है, बहुत सारी डिटेल्स और एक लंबी चौड़ी सी स्टडी होती है. And even if it is coming to you, you guys are presenting that I have mostly worked on infrastructure as a service. PaaS में हमसे ज्यादा किया नहीं है. So first let me explain it to you. What is repurchasing? Repurchasing क्या होता है? Mostly that moving to SaaS platform, software as a service. Let's say that आपका एक सर्वर है जिसपे आपके को रिपोर्टिंग वगैरह पुल होता है कि कितने लोगों ने जो है अटेंडेंस मार्क की, हाउ मेनी पीपल डिड देयर होमवर्क, कितने लोगों ने कितना सेल किया, व्हाटएवर, किसी भी तरह का रिपोर्ट हो सकता है. ओके, ट्रेनिंग नंबर ऑफ आवर्स, व्हाटएवर द रिपोर्ट इज, दैट रिपोर्ट इज बीइंग रन ऑन वन सर्वर. और वहां से मुझको जो है एक ईमेल ट्रिगर होता है, और मे बी मैनेजर को, हायर मैनेजर को एक ईमेल ट्रिगर होता है that आज आपकी टीम में से 10 बंदों ने 10 में से 8 लोगों ने यहाँ पे ये इतना सेल किया और this is what they did, this task they completed, maybe out of 8 6 came to work, out of 10 8 came to work, 2 did not mark any attendance, किसी भी तरह की report, that report gets generated and gets sent to your manager. That is the functionality of that server. Now what you can do, you can move that server completely to Azure via rehosting and it will work as it is. But your architects say, because we have exactly same application on Azure, it is available. It's called BI and reporting tools, one of the BI and reporting tools, right? Which is, this is just an example. There are many. Zoho Analytics. This tool will do the exact same thing for you. You simply just have to update your data and give access to your give a URL to your clients, to your employees. Why do you need a server for that? Why do you need to worry कि यार आपका server down हो गया, OS upgrade करना है, license वगैरह? Why? You simply pay them monthly rent for Zoho Analytics and you use their services. If the team agrees, then they'll say, fine, let's do that. They will do a migration. इसका migration कैसे होता है? I'll show you that also. Not practically, but I'll show you the tool and everything. They'll do the migration. चलाकर देखेंगे इस पे 4-5 महीने चल रहा है. They'll decom their actual server and that's it. That is your repurchasing. कि similar चीज को आपने cloud पे purchase कर लिया जाकर. Okay. Now refactoring. By the way, you will be dealing only with these two mostly. Okay. इसके बाद जितना कुछ आ रहा है ना उसमें कोडिंग वगैरह बहुत कुछ इन्वॉल्व हो जाता है. So refactoring, reimagining how the application is architected and developed, typically using cloud native feature. Example, all greenfield applications. What does it mean? It means that I have an application, now I want to move it to cloud. I'm not using cloud's application. Okay, I want to move my application. मेरा सॉफ्टवेयर है जो क्लाउड पे मूव करना है मुझको, बट मेरा एप्लीकेशन बहुत ही लेगेसी किसी लैंग्वेज में लिखा हुआ जो क्लाउड पे सपोर्टेड भी नहीं है. But I want my application. I don't want to use any third party application. So what will I have to do? इसको पूरा re-architect करना पड़ेगा. सब कुछ मुझको जीरो से लिखना पड़ेगा. यहाँ पे आपका database team, आपका coder, आपका सब कुछ. It could be some compliance reason, maybe banking, government. वहीं से आप लोगों को ऐसे weird request आती है कि उसमें ज्यादा पैसा और ज्यादा टाइम चला है. That is fine, but we want to use our own codings, our own application. We do not want to use any application from here. Even if there is available a similar application, I don't want to do that. I want to move my application. The similar application should be there on cloud. Okay. So what will you do? You will do the refactoring. Refactoring में आपके application architect आ जाते हैं, आपके database architect आ जाते हैं. Everyone will be there. They'll make a plan, coding वगैरह एक लंबा इसमें process होता है. You guys are not involved in this one. इसमें आपका इन्वॉल्वमेंट क्या होगा पता है? ज्यादा से ज्यादा whatever machine these guys will require. Okay, हम अपना application develop तो कर रहे हैं, उसकी hosting के लिए एक machine लगेगा, तो maybe I required 5 machines, Windows Server 2K19, 2 Linux machines, RHEL 10 or 9, something like this. इस तरह से आपके पास requirement आएगा, but ultimately क्या होगा वो? It will be your machine डेवलपमेंट होगा. एक बेसिक सा आपका एक जो VM डिप्लॉयमेंट होता है वो टास्क होगा आपके लिए. At the end, it is a part of this big task, but for you, it will be a VM deployment. So is it clear, guys? What is refactoring?
Yes.
Then retain. What is retain? Only 2 minutes are left, so I'll quickly cover this. What is retain? Retain, आपके आर्किटेक्ट टीम ने इसको अच्छे से देख लिया, सब कुछ ये कर लिया, and then now they are deciding कि यार moving it to cloud is gonna cost you more. Then application owner said, let it be. We don't want to do that. Here's your money for consulting and let it be. No changes as of now. We'll revisit it maybe next time. It could be because of budget also. Okay, moving it to cloud, it's gonna give you a good return in 10 years, but as of now you have to spend $1 million. No budget, so let it be. We'll retain it and revisit. Retire. This application is going to retire in coming 6 months, so we don't have to do anything. But ये assessment में पता चलता है. So these are the 6 R's. You don't have to explain it to the interviewer in detail. You just have to read them, rehosting, replatform, repurchase, refactor, retire, retain. And it's not necessary in the same order, किसी भी order में. And then explain these two, and that should be it for you. But start with these two, but there's no such order. You can do it however you like. Okay, so only 1 minute is left, guys. I'll stop the session. I'll see you in 5 minutes. I'll take a break of 5 minutes just for the recording to get converted properly. Okay, so see you at 14:45. Same link.